Hey everyone, and welcome to episode 0 of Two Dummies That Just Watch, a sports podcast between friends. I am your host, Will Hernandez, and I am here with the co host for this podcast as we get going here in our, I want to call it an initial introduction podcast. And the co host is my good friend, Lee J. Perilla. Lee J, take a bow and welcome to the show.
What up? I'm here.
Now, for those, this is going to be interesting because we've done like 4 tests already. So we're like sort of comfortable with each other and how we do this, which is a good thing. So, but the audience doesn't know that, obviously. So we're basically taking this episode 0 to introduce ourselves. And as I mentioned before, Lee J and I have known each other, I don't know. What do you think? 40, almost 40 years?
If I was to take a guess to get an exact number, yeah, it's close to 40.
Close to 40. Yeah. I was trying to figure out exactly what that number was the other day. So so why are we doing this? That's a great fucking question. Um this was your idea in some ways because you had mentioned like a couple of years ago about doing a podcast and you just didn't know basically where to start for the most part. And it was something that I kept in the back of my head. And it wasn't until, I don't know, maybe a couple of months ago that I thought to myself, well, I have this other podcast that I'm doing, and that's up and running. And I feel like I've learned a lot from that. Why don't we try this as well and then see where it goes? But I guess the question for you is talk a little bit about it's not really a question, but talk a little bit about the idea for this and why you wanted to do this.
All right. So basically, like you stated, I just didn't know where to start. But I always be, especially you and I, we talk so much sports over text messaging when we link up and go on little road trips or at the bar. And sometimes I felt like that wasn't enough, especially through text messages. It's hard to sometimes explain without going on a long rant text
Right.
message trying to get your point across, and sometimes text messaging is not read the right way or whatever the case, not in a bad way, but just sometimes whatever the case may be, somebody may not understand it. And I just figure, we've known each other for so long. I've been following sports since I was 5, from what I can remember, and I just figured let's try this. I really didn't. I'm not looking to become a millionaire because I'm still $1 million short of being a millionaire, so that's irrelevant. But I thought it would be cool to just to talk, you and I, maybe some, like you were mentioning before, every now and then get somebody else involved to talk, somebody that may
Yeah.
have an opinion about something or someone that follows something, and just keep it like genuine, like regular bar talk, like we was in a bar having the same conversations without being like something written or anything like that. Because I
Yeah.
just think that's corny, and people could tell if something's written or something's practice or whatever the case may be.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this
And
is
I
just
think,
kind of like our bar talk, but
yeah.
let's see who listens. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
exactly. And it's funny because there's one podcast that I listen to. It's a video game related podcast, and they were two friends. Actually, it's funny because one actually lives in Chicago and the other guy lives overseas. He splits time between London and Germany, and they just love to talk video games. And one day they thought to themselves, you know what? This actually might make for a good podcast. So that's what they did. They just basically started recording themselves, and they were off to the races, and they've done it for 7 years already. So that's kind of where part of the idea I think comes from. And then we were doing the tests, right? We didn't have anything written down. Yes, we had a little agenda, and we're going to have an agenda every week, but it's not like we were following like an actual script because we want to keep this as organic as possible. And I think people will see as we go along here that it is going to be fun and games in a lot of way, as especially as we keep on going on and just talk about the ridiculous shit that happens either in the sports world or in everyday life. So, who are we exactly? I mentioned the friends thing, right? I'll give a little bit of my background quickly. Former sports writer, did that for 4 years, was a journalist for, I don't know, almost 20 years. Then I went into public relations. And during that time, I've done other podcasts. But there's always been that constant has been the sports. And I mentioned to you, you've definitely watched a lot more sports than I do. And I think it works in that way because as me kind of being the main host and running the show, there's a lot of things that I can bounce off of you because quite frankly, you're watching more than I do. Though now doing this podcast, I'm gonna have to watch a lot more. So kind of just talk about that from your perspective. The just I would say the role that sports has right now for you on a daily basis.
Well, as you know, I consume a lot of sports, as you just mentioned, whether it be through the television or the radio. I can't get enough. Sports is my drug. It's my getaway. It helps me release whatever I may be going through the day. I know I got sports. Yes, my teams are disappointing, very disappointing.
We'll get into that.
But for me, it's irrelevant when it's just my getaway. It brings me back to my childhood with my grandfather, just more so baseball than any other sport.
Yeah.
But it just helps. It's my drug. It's my drug, and it just helps. It just helps me in a lot of different aspects that people, quite frankly, don't understand. But that's okay. It's not for them to understand.
Yeah. We
But
have
yeah,
yeah. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
no. But like I said, it's my drug. It's my legal drug.
We have definitely run into a lot of people in our lives that just don't get it. They don't get the obsession. They don't get why we watch, why we're into every single play, why we're upset when they lose. Now, don't get me wrong. I think when I was younger, I used to be a lot more upset about a Mets loss than I am today.
I've gotten
So,
better with that too.
yeah. Well, I think the other thing too, it's not like it's part of our personality in some ways. Like we don't take it that
Right. Yeah. Right. Right.
seriously.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I think that's probably the key when you see a lot of these people online. And I mean, dude, we go into the comment section of some of these stories. I mean, just today with the whole thing about it came out that Brett Favre's teammates were okay with him taking the time off. And we talked about that in a
Aaron
previous.
Rodgers.
Oh, yeah. What year is it?
Holy fuck.
Damn. Holy shit. Where the hell did I get that from? Oh my. See, Green Bay Jets, that's the problem. Anyway, Aaron Rodgers.
He's known for sending those kind of pics, so maybe he just sent you one.
Come on. Please stop. We don't need to talk about that. Anyway, so yeah, the news came out that the teammates didn't really give a shit about Aaron Rodgers going to Egypt. Apparently, he went to Egypt to go do some shrooms in a pyramid somewhere. But you just see the comments about it's like part of people's like, why do you care? Why do you care so much that this guy went to go do what he did? Especially if his teammates are okay with it, then I don't understand why the fans are not okay with it. Anyway, I don't know. It's just kind of one example of what we don't want to be, and I don't want to be like these knuckleheads on the radio either that just do shit for the clicks and for the engagement. I think what we've seen through the test episodes is what you see is basically what you're going to get. I don't want to be a fucking influencer. That's like the last thing that I want. So, okay. I thought maybe the way we would kind of ease ourselves into this and kind of let the audience get to know us a little bit better is basically how we became fans of our current teams. So I am curious for you with this. I know some of the story, but maybe we go we'll start with baseball first because it is baseball season. So we'll do it that way. So how the fuck did you become a long-suffering Mets fan?
Well, only immediate family and friends know that, and that's my number one guy, who's no longer with us. My grandfather was
Right.
a huge Mets fan. Started watching Mets with him as a little kid on the sofa, to going to Shea Stadium to City Field. And God, I don't. I just, in a lot of ways, he was the underdog, and I think that's probably where he got it from. I really don't know the reason. It could be from the move of the other team, and then the Mets came,
Mhm.
in their inaugural year, and then he said, "All right, that's taking the place. I'll go for them. I'm just piecing it together."
Yeah.
But definitely, it was definitely he's the reason why I'm a Mets fan. 100%. No, nothing else.
Do you know if he was a Dodgers fan or a Giants fan?
If I'm not mistaken, he was a Giants fan because he was a big Willie Mays guy.
Ah, yeah, that's right. That's right. You mentioned that in the test episode
Yep, he liked
about
Willie Mays, and like I told you, Keith Hernandez.
yeah. Yeah, which is funny. I remember him having the
Yeah, that
old
old
first baseman mitt.
school
Yeah.
lefty first baseman's glove, like
Yeah.
really old school.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
And yeah, definitely him. No one else. And then I just
Yeah.
picked up the sport from just watching it, and every time the game was on television, he would watch it. I would watch it with him, and that's how that started.
So for me, it was my mom.
Which is
Uh
which is I still can't get over that. Not
well,
that
here's
because
the
your mom's not a Mets fan, because of the other point, which is
yeah.
so odd.
Yeah. Well, it's a combination. So my dad was a Yankees fan, God rest his soul. And the funny thing is, the first baseball game that I ever went to was a Yankees game. I remember sitting in the fucking bleachers back at the old Yankee Stadium. So you would think that that would catapult me to being a Yankees fan, but that wasn't the case. So I become a Mets fan because of her, and been suffering ever since.
Oh God.
Uh, so combine that with we both play little league, right? We both I don't know, did you play high school as
I played
well?
high school baseball,
Yeah,
yes.
we both played high school baseball. So, there is that history there as well, and that's probably why for us baseball, is always going to be number 1. But the funny thing is that I followed my mom with almost all the sports, baseball and football as well, because my dad, he was the weird one. He was the weird Yankees Jets fan, whereas my mom was the Mets Giants fan. And usually
It's the
it's
other
the
way
other way
around.
around. Yeah, yeah, it's usually the other way around. So, so we got baseball out of the way. So going to football, this is where for now, everybody's gonna hear this is where Lee J and I differ with everything, which is a good thing actually. Because I think, no, honestly, I was thinking
No,
about
it's
this
a it's
today.
it's a balance.
Yeah, because I think if we both would have liked the same teams, this shit would have been fucking boring. So sorry, Yankees fans. We're gonna have to figure something out for you guys. I don't know what that is yet, but I have people who friends who cover the Yankees, so I think that could be the way we sometimes address that. So anyway, so I'll start off with the Giants again. My mom. That's it. I don't remember much of the Denver Broncos Super Bowl. I just don't. Like I don't remember much of the '86.
What was that, 86?
Yeah,
You're
80.
like a year and a half younger than I am?
Yeah, a
I do
year and a
remember the
half.
Mets World Series, and I do
Yeah,
remember that as well.
yeah. I don't remember. I don't. I remember. I clearly remember 1990. How the
Yes.
fucking you not? Two things from that Super Bowl: Whitney Houston national anthem. Don't forget that was during the Gulf War,
Yep.
so that was like a big fucking deal.
Yep.
And then the wide right,
Yep.
and the Giants win 20-19 because Scott Norwood missed the field goal there as time expired. That I clearly remember, and my mom going batshit crazy when they missed that field goal. And then, and it's funny because we talked about this the other day about the Mets. They're just not being a lot of consistency with the Giants, even though they're supposed to be one of these. great franchises. They sure the hell don't act like it sometimes. But, you know, some people were like, oh, but don't forget, you guys beat the Patriots twice. I'm like, yeah, that's something that I'm thankful for and will never get taken away from me as a fan that I've got, especially to ruin their perfect season in
Oh,
the Super Bowl. So that few, I don't think the only thing that's going to top that is the Mets World Series. That's it, as far as I'm concerned. So Giants, Lee J, the Jets. I don't think I know this story. Maybe I do, and
you
I just
don't,
forgot because I'm old.
I
Yeah.
actually hate this story.
Oh God, here we go. This is what we're here for.
So the reason why I became a Jets fan, my grandfather only liked baseball. He
Mm,
hated football.
interesting.
He hated basketball. He tried basketball once, took a shot, and went in because he had a good eye. He said, went in. Next thing you know, he got hit in the ball with got hit in the eye with the ball. He's like, this sport's not for me. And football, he just never got it, never understood it, never understood
Yeah,
why I watched it.
interesting.
So my mom,
I think I know where this is going.
God rest her soul,
Potentially,
but
yes.
before she passed away 30 plus years ago, she dated this buffoon, which I hated his fucking guts. And I'm not really going to get into this right now about him. And he will remain nameless. Neither one of us
Yes.
will say his name. But he
He's
was
gonna
a
be like
Jets fan.
Voldemort. He's gonna be like Voldemort.
He was
He
a
must
Jets.
not be named.
Yes,
Yeah.
he was a Jets fan.
Yeah.
And his family essentially was all Jets fans.
Okay.
And if I'm not mistaken, my mom passed away in 93.
Mm-hmm.
So they
Yeah, because
dated
my
for
yeah.
they dated for about, I would say, 4 or 5 years. And right when they started is kind of where I got introduced to football, because football, I would say, is the last sport I picked up watching.
Interesting. Oh shit, I didn't know that.
So
Ha.
me
Okay.
liking sports and just sort of the nature of the game, I gravitated to it as he was watching the game on the television.
Yeah.
And then, long story short, I kept on watching it more and more. Figured out it was every Sunday, started watching it by myself, and the rest is
Mm,
history.
damn.
And that's how I became a fucking Jets fan.
So wait a minute. Now see, now I have questions,
Hmm.
which is good. So did you so you watch basketball before you watch football? I'm fascinated by
But
this.
here's how the basketball story goes. It's not even by watching.
Okay. It was more by playing.
So
No?
yes. So
Okay.
I'm a Knicks fan, been a Knicks fan probably since 89 or 90.
Hmm.
And let's see now. I'm trying to think, when did I start junior high school 126?
Oh
Probably
God.
around 89, 90, maybe around
That
there.
sounds about right. Yeah.
So we had the first week of classes, whatever, go to gym, got introduced, and I guess we had like some time left over to do whatever. He said,
Yeah.
before the end, whatever. Throughout the basketball, soccer balls, I picked up this orange ball. I knew it was basketball.
Yeah.
Picked it up and I shot a shot from half court and it went in.
Oh shit. Are you
And
serious?
figured out the Knicks was the local team. Started watching, and the rest is
And
history.
that's it.
And that's how I
Damn.
got hooked to
I
basketball.
never knew that story. See, I'm learning shit today.
And that's how I got hooked on watching basketball. Because I didn't know anything else but local teams. So I said,
Right.
all right, let's see
Yeah, at that point.
what's our local team. And it was the Knicks.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't pinpoint kind of when I started watching, but I think it was that Knicks Celtics playoff series when I think it was the playoffs when Ewing hit that turnaround 3-pointer. I don't know if you remember that.
Oh, yeah, I
I
remember
think
that.
that kind of around there is when I first started
Gotcha.
watching, then realized there was college basketball, got into the Tar Heels,
Oh, yeah.
yada yada yada.
Wait, okay, back up. How did you get into the Tar Heels? See, I don't think I know this story either.
So let's see, how does that go? So the shout out to the Moran brothers, Rob and Charlie.
Oh, Jesus.
They're Duke
We're gonna edit
fans.
that.
They're
We're
Duke
gonna edit
fans,
that. Yeah, no, like me.
and I
Well, not
fucking hate
really.
Duke.
As I'm not really a Duke fan the way I used to be, but
And
anyway.
I need to figure out who was their biggest rival, and I did. and that's how it went.
So it's out of spite, basically.
Yeah, kinda.
I can't wait till they hear this. That's hilarious. Holy shit. Oh God. Yeah, my basketball story is very weird. And it's probably gonna piss some people off, but I don't care because I'm not a Knicks fan. Never have been, never will be. That's just it's weird. It's a weird thing. So unlike Lee J, basketball was the last thing that I ever picked up watching and playing. It was probably the sport that I was the worst at. Um, so which is not surprising. Um, So my introduction, I got caught up in the NBA during the Jordan era. It's just it was I distinctly remember, and I'll tell listen, let me tell you what did it. It's gonna sound stupid, but it was just I bet it happened. I was watching the game when Jordan was playing the Lakers. It was that first title, right? The first championship.
Yeah,
When he
first
did the
title.
whole fucking switching, you know the layup I'm talking about, where he
Mhm.
switches hands
Yeah,
and does the layup.
he didn't have to do that.
Yeah, okay, shut up. And I was just like, I got so caught up because I was watching it with family members and some friends, and I just got so caught up in the moment. I'm like, holy shit, this guy is like God, basically, you know. And ever since, and I just immediately fell in love with just that whole. I don't know. It was just call it a bandwagon. Yeah, I was. I don't give a shit. But that was just you have to understand it being my last sport, the last sport that I came to, I went with the popular team at the time. But that all changed as time went on
To be fair, you
because
weren't the only one at that time.
no, I know that
Everyone
is
did it.
true. I mean, look at your brother; he's a Bulls fan, probably
Everyone
for
did it.
this very same reason.
Very same reasons.
Yeah. So here's the thing, though. During that time, I started getting into college basketball, like as well, like you said, and I was a huge St. John's fan, right? Started off as a huge St. John's fan, the hometown team. This was when Felipe Lopez was like the big fucking deal. And he was supposed to be Jesus, basically, you know? Cover of Sports Illustrated. We all know the story, what happened after that. I fell for that hook, line, and sinker because I was a big Sports Illustrated reader, whatever. Big St. John's fan. Went to a lot of St. John's games with my mom. Started to get into that. I kind of did fall into like the whole Duke thing as well. So my two teams that I rooted for a lot were St. John's and Duke. Duke was my national team. St. John's, uh, St. John's was the local team. But NCAA tournament time, you start paying attention to the what's going on around you. And then there's this guy in LSU named Shaquille O'Neal. And brother, I was fucking enamored with him. Seriously. Bro, it was just do you know what the thing is? It's because I like that style of basketball. It's that physical style in the paint,
Mhm.
fucking dunking over people, the gorilla jams and all that. So when he got drafted, I said, fuck the Bulls. I dropped it just like that. Became a Magic fan. And then I basically was such a huge Shaq fan that I followed him around. I followed him from the Magic to the Lakers. And I became one of those annoying fucking Lakers fans with my brother. Because at that point, he was getting into it as well. And he loved the Lakers just as much as I do, because he was a big Kobe fan. So you had that. And then Shaq started kind of going, what are we talking? We talked about this in a test episode. He went to the Suns.
Miami
He
Heat,
went to the Miami. Oh,
Suns,
sorry, Miami Heat. I was,
Cleveland, Boston.
yeah, I was into that first title that he won with the Heat. But then after that, it just kind of got old for me and the game was starting to change. And then I completely fell off of it. And I told myself it was going to take something extraordinary for me to get back into the NBA. And that's when they moved the Nets to Brooklyn. And I became a Nets fan. And let me tell you something. When I tell you I became a Nets fan, I was watching when they were fucking shit. And I've told you that story. I would get the ticket and watch when they were winning 9, 10 games a year in that era after they, blew their load with when they had the first three, the first time around. So yeah, the college the basketball stuff is very different for us. And so is I mean, quite frankly, so is the football thing. And then hockey, I don't know. I'm a very casual Rangers
I'm
fan.
I'm a casual watcher, and
Yeah.
I like the playoffs hockey, to me, hockey is the best sport to watch live,
Yes.
and out of spite for other reasons that will not be mentioned here.
Yeah,
I'm
we're
an
not going to
Islanders
get into
fan
that. Yeah.
for when it calls for, but we're not going to get into that. So that's out of spite as well, because I'm just that guy.
God damn.
Because I don't give a
So
shit.
people are going to learn on this podcast how much you do things out of spite.
I like to be petty white
Two,
sometimes.
two, two of the four teams two of the five teams you like are out of fucking spite. Think about that. The Tar Heels and the Islanders. Jesus, what a piece of shit.
Thank you.
Okay, so best memories of the teams we root for. Let's stick. We're gonna stick to just baseball, basketball, and football because I think hockey's. Well, I don't really give a shit. Let's go backwards from the last sport you picked up. Your favorite Jets memory, if there are any.
I would say I'm not really. I don't like to go by too much years. Sometimes I don't remember that. My mind's got a lot of stuff in there. But I'd say when the Jets beat the Patriots, go to the AFC Championship game.
What year was that?
Oh man, great question. That was the Rex Ryan era. So that had to be 2010 around then.
Oh, let's
Around
see.
2010, 2011. Remember they went to back-to-back AFC championship games.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe it was I want to say the second one, but I'm not 100% sure. They wound up beating the Patriots and then playing, if I'm not mistaken, the Pittsburgh Steelers in the AFC Championship game.
So I'm
What's
looking at. Yep, I'm looking now.
remember that was when I think Bart Scott said the famous "Can't wait."
Oh yes, that
Was
got
that
turned into a
2010
meme. That was 2000. It
or
was in the
11?
aftermath of the 2010 season. So yeah, it was 11.
There you
They
go.
won 28-21.
There you go. And then they played
So
Pittsburgh in the AFC Championship game.
I'm just looking at some of the stats from that game now. Sanchez had 3 touchdown passes.
In the Pittsburgh game or the Patriots game?
It's Patriots game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was I think it's just because it was the Patriots that they beat. They were probably a huge underdog from what I could remember, if I even do remember that. I'm just assuming that.
They definitely were.
My assumption is definitely probably right.
Yeah.
And no one gave them a chance, and they beat them.
And
I was like, I do remember, if Pittsburgh was favored, it wasn't by much. And a lot of people had the Jets beating them, and then we just came out flat. The Jets came out flat in that first half. They had a way better second half, but still wound up losing. And I was mortified.
I mean, and just going back to what you were saying about the favorite, they were probably a deep underdog only because the Pats were undefeated at home that year. They were 8-0.
Correct.
So they went in there and they beat the Pats at home.
Yep.
During the playoffs. So
yep.
Interesting. Okay. That's a good one. That's a really good one. I think for me, I don't think anything beats the Giants winning the Super Bowl against the Pats to end that undefeated. I mean, it's funny because I've had friends tell me that they found football boring after that. And I can somewhat understand that when
after which one, the 91?
No, the one that they beat the Pats.
Oh, to beat the
undefeated season.
Undefeated season.
And it's just I can somehow understand that in some respects, but would you look at what the Giants are now? I would take that winning on that level any day over this current bullshit.
Of course.
So the funny thing about that Super Bowl victory was that was the first year I was in Chicago. So I was watching it at home with my ex-wife at the time, who shall remain nameless. And I just was like beside myself watching that game. We were actually both watching it because she was a kind of a casual sports fan, so she was interested in seeing what was going to happen, and she would occasionally watch Giants games with me. So I'll never forget how like fucking crazy I'll never forget calling my mom, and she answered the phone and she was like yelling into the phone when that game was over
Is
because
that
nobody could believe what happened.
is that the same year they beat the Green Bay Packers in the NFC Championship?
Yeah, when
That
Tom
snow
Coughlin's
game?
face. Yes. Yeah.
I think the Giants were not favored in any one of those games.
No, they
Not
were
even the
not
Falcons game.
because they were all on the road. Don't forget.
But the Falcons too, right? Did
Yeah,
they beat the
everything
Falcons
was
that
on
year,
the
the
road.
first game?
Yeah, everything was on the
They
road that
smacked them
year.
like 28-2 or something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
I think
Yeah,
that
that
might
was
have been another thing that was like because no one had them beating the Packers.
right. Yeah.
I think you were wearing a championship belt in that bar, and you posted it on Facebook when I was on Facebook.
No. That was actually the second time
The
around.
second time,
The
okay,
second run.
okay,
Yes.
okay, okay.
That was the second Patriots run. Patriots victory. That was actually before I moved back here in 2015 because they won the Super Bowl that beginning of that year, I
Okay.
believe. Yeah, so that's football for both of us. What about the Knicks? What's your best memory of the Knicks?
Next, my best memory is gonna be, I guess, if memories are cliche, it's the dunk.
Oh, with John Starks.
It's the dunk. That was my guy. John Starks was my guy.
Oh God, I hated that motherfucker.
Before Jason Kidd came around, he was my favorite basketball player.
Oh God.
There's a trend to my favorite guys I like in sports that you guys will just relate if you know the sports, if you know the players, underdog type of players, players that people said will never make it, and they wind up having
Interesting.
good careers for themselves.
Yeah.
But that's the one that jumps out to me. It's like I said, if memories could be cliche, that's the one.
So was he? And maybe we'll just do this now. Is he gonna be? Is he your favorite player from the franchise?
Growing up before, like I said, before Jason Kidd, because
Yes.
Jason Kidd's my favorite basketball player of all time. Everyone that knows me knows that.
Okay.
But before that, before his time, it was John Starks.
It was John Starks.
It was
Okay,
John
gotcha.
Starks.
Gotcha. Interesting. Huh. Okay. So this one's easy for me. But this is again weird because I'm gonna go back to one of the teams I used to root for because I don't really have great memories of the Nets right now. It's gonna be God, I forget if it was against the Sacramento Kings, but Big Game Rob,
Oh, the Robert Ory 3-point.
the Robert Ory 3-point
I was
game.
in Virginia for that game.
Yeah, the Robert Ory 3-point game. That was fucking crazy. I'll never forget Danny and I watching that. You remember my room back in Brooklyn, right?
Yes.
Danny and I were watching that game. And I think one of the 3-pointers gave them the lead late, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong about that. But if you remember, that was when the bar next door started having people in the patio outside. So I fucking ran to the back window and fucking yelled
I think that's the one against
out the
Sacramento, no?
window. Yeah, it is Sacramento. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because I was watching the game. We were in Rob again and
Yeah.
someone else. We were watching the game, and somebody that was with us was a big Chris Webber fan, and we were in the hotel room watching. And when Ori hit that 3-pointer, I ran outside the hotel room into the parking lot, and I was screaming because I wanted to see Sacramento lose.
The Sacramento Queens, as Shaq used to call them.
Once again, being
Holy
petty,
shit.
but I didn't really care.
Yeah, no, I know. That's funny. That's pretty damn funny. Okay. Mets. This is a tough one for me because there's so many, but go ahead. I'll let you go first.
I'm gonna say, for me, because I remember it, is the '80s, the World Series,
Mm,
and seeing my grandfather, he was happy. Just the whole little run there, everything that happened that year
yeah.
with the Mets. Now I need to feel that as an adult because as a 9-year-old kid at that time, it's not the same.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's not the
Yeah.
same.
Yeah.
And I think you don't think about it as much as a kid because you're like, they're good. You're gonna probably see it again.
Yeah. And we almost did 2 years later.
And I just keep on seeing the Kirk Gibson home run.
Oh my God, I remember
I
that.
keep on seeing Oral Hershiser just striking out Howard Johnson. I still see it to this day. These are clear memories in my mind, and
Oh
I'm like,
God,
Christ.
yeah,
And then after
yeah,
that, when was the next time? 99, 2000.
yep, 99 and 2000. Yeah, they went a long
It's
time.
been brutal. So I try to keep those 86 memories close to me,
Mm,
even though the 15 run was good because you and I we watched a lot of that, and
yeah,
then we watched it at
yeah,
the bar when they made it.
at
So
the
that was
bar.
that. If I was to say, besides them winning it all, that would be a close number two, just because that atmosphere at that bar was awesome. I never
Yeah,
you and I both, we don't like people, but that bar was jam packed, and it's like everyone knew each other.
yeah, yeah,
I was hugging random dudes I didn't know, high fiving. I thought the floor was gonna collapse
yeah, yeah.
because that bar, wasn't the wasn't in the best shape.
No, it was not. It was not. No, that and then we'll tell the story. I'll tell the story now. We go outside.
Oh yeah, Yankees fans, of
A
course.
Yankees fans talking shit, and some chick. Let's just say I told her to suck something.
D Generation X.
Yes, right. Like, bro, we couldn't even.
Couldn't
You
enjoy
couldn't
our
even
5 minutes.
enjoy it. Yeah, our 5 minutes before, and this is the reason why we hate Yankees fans. I don't necessarily hate the Yankees. I just hate their fan base because they're the fucking worst. They are one of the worst in sports. I mean, not even. It's not even a shadow of a doubt. So, we'll just be warned. Yeah, we're going to talk a lot of trash about you guys. FYI. God, I think this is such a tough one for me. My initial thought is it was the one playoff game I've ever been to, and it was at Shea Stadium. It was game one of the NLDS against the Diamondbacks, which was the one eventually that they won the next day. Because that back then, don't forget, it was 2 out of 3 games,
Right.
if I'm not mistaken. And that was when this guy, Todd Pratt, hit
Todd
the
Pratt hit the
walk-off
home run,
home run.
the dead center field. No,
Yeah, yeah. And we thought that this dude caught it. Who the hell was that?
Steve Finley.
Steve Finley. Goddamn. Yeah. So that I want to say because the only reason I got those tickets was because we knew somebody who had a connection to the Mets, and they were able to get us playoff tickets for a discount at this guy that we knew at St. John's at my school. So me and my buddy Eric, shout out to my buddy Eric because he said he was going to be listening to this. We went.
Jesus Christ, the Mets.
Yeah, we oh boy, we're watching the game and the Nationals just tied it. Awesome. Speaking of, yeah, you see, we should not have talked about the Mets because now look what's happening. But yeah, I don't know. And that was a blowout game if you remember. I think they won like 7-8-0.
Yeah.
Dude, it didn't matter. It was like a fucking party in the stands every time they scored. People, again, it was the same situation as the bar, hugging each other, high-fiving each other all over the place, and nobody left. Everybody was there and this is old Shea Stadium. So those are like the real fans who were going to the games back then.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody left through a 7-8-0 game. And yeah, that was I had waited a long time in my life to be at an actual playoff game. So to be there in 99, I would say that's probably my best memory.
Yep.
Yeah, that was 99. Because don't forget they lost to the Braves.
Yep.
The walk-off walk, which might be my worst
Kenny
memory.
Rogers.
Yes, and probably the only time I cried with the Mets losing because I was so upset that they lost in that way. That might be the worst way to lose a game, especially in the playoffs.
But you mentioned crying. I'm gonna tell everyone right now. I don't give a shit. When any one of my teams wins, I'm gonna cry, and I'm gonna probably run outside naked. I don't care who wants to see it, who doesn't want to see it. It's not my problem.
Oh God!
All of that's irrelevant to me.
Oh no! I mean, I don't know. I probably wouldn't cry if the Giants won again because it's like
Yeah, that to me for you is different.
Yeah, but the Mets, forget it. I'll be a mess. That's why it's funny because I always think people ask me this all the time. Who would you watch the game with? And I'm like, I kind of just want to watch the game by myself. You know what I mean?
No, I get it.
because I think for that, like a situation where they're clinching, I would have to watch the game alone because I feel as though I need to have that moment alone with myself if they won a World Series. So the only other person I think I might watch it with would be my mom. That would be it.
I have stipulations to mine. Watching it by myself, sure.
Stipulations.
You're gonna understand what I'm trying to say.
Yes, 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 yes.
I wouldn't mind watching it with my brothers, even though they don't watch as much sports as I do either.
Yes.
I was gonna say, obvious you and your mom,
Yes.
you and
Yeah.
right. But here's my stipulations.
Yeah.
Let's say we will go to your mom's house. It can't be like the Super Bowl.
Oh no, because I'll kill somebody.
Whoever's gonna get offended here, I don't really care. I've known you long enough. You know it's out of love. You're not allowed in your mother's house on that day because you're not gonna get it and you're not gonna understand that. I don't need to hear you talking for 9 innings on a game 7 that we have a chance of winning. This is a fair warning.
I'm fucking dead.
Whether it's this year or 15 years from now, when we're in your mother's living room watching the World Series, you're not
Holy shit.
allowed there. This is not Super Bowl Sunday. If not, I'll kidnap your mom
Holy shit.
and we'll go to wherever city the game's being played. We'll get a hotel room and everything, and you'll never know where we are.
Oh God.
That's the end of that. You've been warned.
Holy shit. That's hilarious.
Because I can't. I can't. Not for the baseball.
No, for something like that.
The Super Bowl's fine. It's always a big event. My teams haven't been in it. My team hasn't been in it. Sure, fine. It's more like a gathering. But
Yeah.
this to me is different.
Yeah, it's way different. But I will tell you, if the Giants make the Super Bowl, I'm staying home to watch that. I'm not. That's not because I will fucking murder somebody. Seriously, we'll murder them. So sorry, guys. We love you, but y'all like a lot of drama sometimes. So we're not going to be about that. Holy shit. Okay.
Ay, ay.
You mentioned we mentioned fave players from each team. And John Starks, obviously, for you for the Knicks. What about for the Jets and the Mets?
Who do you want to hear first?
Let's go with the Jets.
Favorite player of all time is Wayne Corbett.
Ah, that's a good one.
That's my guy.
He's
Undersized,
a lot of people's favorite. Yeah.
underdog.
Yeah.
He might be a great player for the Jets at that time and what they needed.
Yeah.
He wasn't the fastest, he wasn't the biggest, he wasn't the strongest, but that guy played his ass off.
Yeah.
He didn't drop many balls. He scored. I love that dude. Wayne Corbett for me.
And then what about the Mets?
The Mets, my guy. He's hated today. He might have been hated back then. Lenny Dykstra.
Oh, isn't he? No, not yet.
Not
right?
yet. Not
Okay.
yet. But he's my favorite player. I actually started off playing center field in Little League. And then they took me out of center field. That's another story.
Jesus Christ. That's good. No, that's good. That's good. Those are good picks. So I already talked about Shaq. Probably my favorite basketball player of all time. So I mean, there have been other guys that I've liked along the way, but Shaq has always been my guy. So for football, it's Rodney Hampton.
Oh, wow.
I was a huge Rodney Hampton fan. And it's funny because I had to bring up his stats. And don't forget, even though they won, he was a rookie when they won the Super Bowl in 90.
Mm-hmm.
So he didn't really have too much of a
he didn't
say in that.
Otis Anderson had a big game that game.
Right. Because Otis Anderson was the MVP of that game. Don't forget. So here's the thing with Rodney Hampton, he was on some bad fucking teams, bro.
Yeah, he was.
But he was that hulking, like, this is when like running back was a big position. So I'm just looking at his stats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years straight of 1,000+ yards between 91 and 95. And he had double-digit touchdowns in 3 of those 5 years. He was a really good fucking player for them.
No, he was a good player for them.
And the thing was, bro, he was fucking retired at the age of 28. Done. Crazy.
Yep.
Crazy.
Yep.
So, but yeah, he's
He was a different type of running back too, because he was like kind of like tall and lanky.
yeah.
He wasn't like short and
Uh
compact.
well, no, he was actually 5'11".
Meaning like tall, like remember not somebody like Barry
Oh
Sanders or so. You know what I
yeah.
mean?
Yeah. Okay, we're back. I had a bit of a technical difficulty on my part. I fucking ripped my whatever the fuck I did out of my laptop. So I just got to be more conscious of that going forward. Anyway, so we were talking about Rodney Hampton, about him being my favorite football player, my favorite Giant, and how he basically retired at the gripe old age of 28. So I think we were saying how running backs were kind of built differently back then, and it was more of an important position back then. It's definitely not the
Not
same.
valued today. Not
Yeah,
valued the same way.
it's not valued the same way as it used to be. It's a passing first league where quarterbacks and wide receivers are basically, the top of the mountain. So, yeah. So it's funny we have a technical difficulty as we're getting towards the end of the episode. So, okay, I want to get through a few housekeeping things that I think people will want to know as we go into the actual episode starting on July 8th. So for now, we're going to be once a week. We're going to record on Sundays and publish on Mondays. So, but for this episode, even though it's kind of our episode 0, it'll go live on July 1st. So when you first hear this the first time, it should be on July 1st. And then starting July 8th, we will get with the actual format of the show, which, we said it's going to be a work in progress, and we're going to try different things out and kind of see what sticks. And we promise you guys, it's not going to be just about sports all the time. So there will be some things that we talk about that have nothing to do with sports, and you might hate us for it, but it's our show, and you guys can fuck off. Uh, okay, other thing too, the Patreon is live. So what is Patreon? So basically, Patreon is this platform that a lot of creators use to, get a little extra. Listen, we're not like DJ said, we're not looking to become millionaires with this thing. We don't think that that's going to happen. If it happens, great. I can retire early. Uh, but we shall see, where it begins. Listen, here's the thing. It only starts at $3. That's cheaper than a cup of coffee, than your Starbucks and your Dunkin' every day. So, as DJ is nodding his head, you might want to consider subscribing. So here's how you find it. And I'm going to put the stuff in the link in the description so that people can click on it if they so desire. It's Patreon, patreon.com/2, like the number 2, Dummies Sports Podcast. And you'll want to capitalize the D. That's what she said. The S and the P in sports and the P in podcast. So there are 2 membership levels right now. It's probably going to stay like this. We'll see. There's All Star. And for All Star, this tier is going to include the ability to submit questions every week. So think about that. You can ask about, our lovely opinions during the podcast. You can vote in polls for certain topics, and you'll get exclusive access to, I don't know, we're figuring 1 to 2 bonus episodes per month, like a top 10 list or, potential interviews with sports personalities. And I put potential because it's potential. Let's just put it that way. The next tier is Hall of Famer. And Hall of Famers at $5 a month. Again, cheaper than a latte. Our Hall of Fame tier, it gives you all the benefits of the All-Star tier. In addition, you get a special shout out on every episode. Please keep your name clean. You're not going to be,
Yeah, don't do it.
yeah, don't put like eat that ass 69 or anything like that. We're not going to read it. Okay. That's
Don't
not
do it.
happening. Don't do that. So you get a special shout out.
Don't
Now,
be a banana head.
yeah, don't be a banana head. How that shout out happens, TBD. I don't know how it's going to happen, but it will happen. You'll also get access to, I'm going to start writing a column again. So you'll get access to 1 to 2 of those per month from myself. Also, free to everybody right now. Our last test episode is available for free. So anybody can access that right now. Again, we're going to put the link in the podcast description or with the episode description. This way, again, we're not going to sit here and beg you guys for this shit, but I am going to mention it every week. So, listen, we're just trying to cover our costs, I think, to begin with. I mean, that's basically what it comes down to. So if you're feeling charitable in some ways, please donate. And I know it's a monthly subscription basically. So that's kind of the way that works. Lee J is also working on t-shirts.
Yep.
Any updates on that? I have looked at that, the thing that you sent me.
I'm still working on it.
Yeah, we'll have to think about how much we'll charge for those because there is a little bit that goes into it as well. So keep that in mind. Okay, social media. Pay attention, folks. Right now, we're on Instagram. We will be on X and we will be on YouTube. As of this recording, I have not set it up yet, but I will make sure that all of that stuff is set up come July 8th. So when you hear this, that stuff might be set up already. Just go check. I would say go check the Patreon. This way you can get an idea for what the Patreon's about. And then you'll see the links to social media. We're on Instagram right now. We've got 15 followers, sir. How do you feel about that?
Shout out to my people. They know who they are.
Yeah, we need more people. There's one reel on there right now. So the username for Instagram, it's 2_dummies_sports_podcast. And that one, the dummies and the sports and the podcast is lowercase. So basically we're going to use that to post reels when we record a video for the podcast. We're also going to record the video so that we can put stuff on YouTube. So, you'll be able to leave comments on YouTube videos as the Mets just took the lead. Who was that?
Martinez.
Wow. Oh, look, Grimace is there too. What's going on there? You're getting live reaction for us, folks. JD Martinez with a 3-1 bomb. In the somebody in that, by the way.
Boy.
Anyway, we're going to be on Twitter, on X, and on YouTube as well. Another thing, too, if you're listening to us on Apple and Spotify, please leave us 5 stars and a review. And the reason why this is important is because it helps with visibility. So the more people that rate and review us, the better the algorithm does. And the more we'll show up in searches in like the sports section of these podcast platforms. So please do us a solid and rate and review and help us out here a little bit. So I think, sir, I think that might be it for episode 0.
And real quick,
yes,
just like he told you at the beginning, I watch a lot of sports more than him. As you can see, he took charge there. This is his wheelhouse.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I mean, and to go into the background of that, listen, it's the media background, folks. I mean, that's what it basically comes down to. It's just, even though we're kind of doing this on the fly, we're both taking from what we listen to and what we consume and kind of put our own spin on things. which is why we're not going to have, it's not going to be sports all the time. I mean, that was something that Lee J wanted. We're going to have like a, I don't know what the segment's going to be called, but it's going to be like a halftime show, right? We'll stop and talk about a topic of the day, and it'll be non-sports related. So this way, maybe we pick up some casual people that, hey, if you just listen for that segment, God bless. At least you downloaded it.
We
That's
still
all that.
love you.
Yeah, that's all that matters for the. Well, not all that matters, but we actually want you to listen to the podcast too. That would, and listen to the whole thing. Though I am going to have timestamps, so you'll be able to find everything. Anyway, all right, that's going to do it for us this week on Two Dummies That Just Watch, a sports podcast between friends. We will be back next week with our first regularly scheduled podcast as we get into this on this new adventure for the both of us. And this is Will Hernandez signing off for Mr. Lee J. Perilla, and we will see you guys next week. Peace.
Later.